McEwen.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. As a Victorian, I have to say it's a pleasant surprise to hear the government talking about infrastructure. I say surprised because, like so much of this government's agenda, infrastructure investment has been completely missing in action. What else can explain why Victoria, which constitutes 25% of the population, only receive about 7% of federal infrastructure funding under the Abbott, Turnbull and now Morrison governments? We've seen them announce $1 billion, but not 1 cent being spent, because the government is all talk and no action. The member for Ford may not be aware, but as Victorians we know all too well that our growing communities are feeling the burden of blown-out commuter times and the lack of federal government investment in infrastructure. It only makes us less productive as workers, spending more hours on the road and making it harder to come home and spend time with your family and participate in community life. The government has been starving our communities of funds we desperately need to address the massive growth of our population and the impacts of our economy and the quality of life. This is the reality of what we've had to deal with over the past 6 years. Areas of regional Victoria, like my electorate of McEwen, are bursting at the seams, with thousands of new residents escaping unaffordable city house prices and searching for a better place for their families to grow and thrive. But instead of being met with the infrastructure they should rightly expect in new and emerging suburbs and towns, they are met with congested roads and shockingly absent federal investment in transport infrastructure. That should and must change. Now, I welcome the idea that the key to successfully addressing this congestion is an all-of-the-above approach, with all levels of government committing to action and, most importantly, committing the funds to actually make it happen. I must say, though, we're left scratching our heads about why this very sensible idea doesn't seem to translate to policy or commitments from the Morrison government. Take the vital project of the Wallen Diamond Interchange in the seat of McEwen, a perfect example of government double-speak. The 2019 election, Labor committed to providing the funds needed to get this project over the line. It is a key priority for the Mitchell Shire, Vic Roads and the wider community. Sounds exactly like the sort of project that this matter of public importance about it, doesn't it? So why has the Morrison government refused to invest in this project or any other ones associated with addressing the needs of our region for that matter? The Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Infrastructure, Transport and Regional Development needs to answer those questions. Even my Liberal opponent at the last election, unfortunately, he agreed with Labor's position, but after the election, after it had passed. And what are we hearing now? We're hearing whispers that this government is thinking about ripping out money out of the Hume Highway and Calder upgrades that was the bipartisan supported project before the election, taking that money away, ripping it away from the major backbone of transport, freight and commuter movement in Victoria and the eastern states, and rehashing it as part of their cities deals, yet again leaving Victorians worse off. So what I'd really like to see from the government is, rather than self-congratulation for headline figures, actually deliver proper infrastructure for our communities. Deliver the Wallen Diamond Interchange, deliver Watson Street upgrade, and the works need to be done on the Northern Highway, and deliver the extra lanes that are needed on the Hume and Calder freeways. These projects are vital. Why? Because traffic is banked up along the Hume freeway, causing massive commuter headaches, and much more importantly, it presents major safety hazards for all road users. Very few drivers motoring down the freeway would expect the traffic jam that stretches for kilometres, but that is what happens on this stretch of the Hume freeway every day. Clearly, when you're getting traffic jams on a freeway, something has gone dramatically wrong. This is the sort of problem that not only costs us time and money, but is likely to cost lives. So while it's very good to pat yourselves on the back for a new buzz phrase, how about actually committing the actions to actually match those words? It's not just a political bait. The to and the fro of the battle of ideas, it is deadly serious. With critical lack of federal investment on Victoria's roads, our death toll has risen. I'm sure that the few sensible members of government benches would agree that the number we're seeing is too high, and we should do everything to bring it down. That's why the government's support for this critical $50 million Diamond Interchange and $90 million investment in Northern Highway and Watson Street will be so important for communities. So I say again to the government, don't scrap the money from the Hume Highway and rob Peter to pay Paul. Invest in both these projects. The time to act is now on congestion-busting infrastructure. And let's hope that it results in some actual shovels in the ground, not buzzwords and rehashing of current funding arrangements.